So I got this comment on one of my videos. I always see your Monstera going wild and carefree, disregarding the pole, and generally dangling to the side. Can you clarify this for me? First of all, hi, doing my best. And secondly, this is a really great question that deserves its own video. So this is how my Monstera is currently staked. I would say maybe 7 out of 10, pretty good job. One stake is going straight up and the other one's leaning forward. I don't often mention this, but staking your plant is usually not a one and done deal. You'll likely be needing to retie and adjust your plant as it grows. You'll notice down here I'm doing something I generally tell people not to do. Don't tie your petiole to your pole. The petiole attaches to the stem, and generally you only want to attach this section of the stem to your pole. The reason why you shouldn't be tying your petioles back is because these move around, and as the leaves adjust, they move to collect more sun. I'm only tying a bottom few of my petioles together because it has become a tripping hazard. If I take this off, they all fall down this way and they're in my walking path. I don't mind restricting a few of these petioles because I do really enjoy walking around my home without tripping, and restricting a few of the most bottom leaves isn't really making a huge difference of how much light this plant is getting. I have a ton of huge leaves at the top who are doing much more than these bottom leaves could ever do. Now, while the stem of the plant over here is doing a really great job following the birch bark pole, I do want to make an adjustment up here because the stem is starting to curve around to the back of the pole, and I want to make sure that it continues to grow in this direction. Constantly people are asking me, what is this thing that I'm using to tie back my stems? Well, it's double-sided plant Velcro. It's basically available in pretty much any garden center that you can find, but I'll also include a link in the description so that you can buy it on Amazon. If I did just let this continue growing as is, it would probably keep going in this direction, so you can just pull it back over and then readjust where your ties are going to go. On new leaves especially, you don't want to tie them super tightly because they're always expanding and you don't really want to restrict the growth too heavily. But lower down on the stem, when it's already set and mature, you can tie that more tightly to ensure that your plant is stable and continues to grow in the right direction. The stem of your Monstera will actually bend and corkscrew depending on where your light source is. So if your aerial roots are facing towards a window, over time they'll actually twist and turn to make sure that they're facing away from the light source as it grows. This is why I advocate for your leaves facing towards the sun and then the root side facing away from it like this, with your stake going in the back right here. This ensures that your stem won't turn, making it necessary to restake, retie, and adjust your stem constantly. This is also why I tell people not to turn their Monsteras, because as it grows, it will only encourage the plant to continue to twist and turn and corkscrew, eventually changing the direction of where the backside of the plant will go. My partner's Monstera used to have a wide plank. The wider your support is, the less likely you'll have to do any adjusting. The biggest issue is that this can be really ugly. A giant 2x4 in your plant pot is not the most aesthetically pleasing thing to look at, so that's why I usually opt for something like a birch bark pole. The problem with a birch bark pole is that because it's so thin, it's often harder to stake it properly. Especially if you're trying to tie multiple stems to the same pole, adjusting it as it grows is absolutely necessary, especially new growth as it comes from the caterpillar. The thing about the Monstera deliciosa is to get bigger growth, the main thing you need is more light, second only to stable support. It doesn't have to be staked perfectly at the backside of your plant, it just has to be stable. However, if you're not staking the backside of your plant or you're not adjusting it as it grows, your plant could end up in a position like this. Once this gets worse, it usually ends up with the plant continuing to bow and corkscrew until it finds its way into an upright position again. If you're not sure what I mean when I talk about the front and back side of a Monstera, watch this video here. And I made this playlist called Monstera Essentials, and inside you'll find all of the most important videos to make sure that your plant is growing to the best of its ability.